Today's guest is all too familiar with the underbelly of the business world. Karen Smith is the CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Saskatchewan, and she tells tales of business owners who have been wrong, caught in scams, and having lost thousands or maybe even more dollars. She also tells tales of business owners who are protected because of their engagement with the BBB. Karen, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for inviting me, Barb. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And we too had some tech challenges this morning. Our earlier guest had some challenges as well. So fingers crossed, we're on and we're live, and hopefully it all works.
Yeah,
So tell me, how long have you been with the Better Business Bureau?
just a little over 5 years with the Better Business Bureau.
Mm-hmm. And what interested you in a role like that? You're like on a daily basis, you're kind of dealing with some yucky stuff.
Well, yes, it is a different environment here. Always balancing something between consumers and businesses, or scammers and businesses and consumers. Yeah, always a balancing act. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that my experience up to now, and led me to at the right time.
Got it. Kate, that sounds very good. So, one of the tools that I know that the Better Business Bureau have is something called Scam Tracker. And that's actually an international initiative, or is it a national initiative?
It's an international initiative. Now,
Hmm.
Canada was at the forefront. Although Canada didn't create the product, we were
Okay.
the first ones to step up to the plate and
Hmm.
say, let's make it live in Canada everywhere all at once. And that was
Okay.
actually, 5 years ago. They were piloted the product in a number of locations. I guess 7 and 8 years ago. But
Hmm.
when I came on, they were, but as I mentioned, 5 years ago or so.
Okay.
They were looking to pilot it in a broader spectrum to see how it would work. So
Hmm.
the Canadian BBB offices stepped up and made it happen.
So, what exactly is Scam Tracker? How do I use it as a business owner?
So it's a crowdsourced means of collecting information from victims about scams. It's a
Hmm.
database that's accessible worldwide,
Okay.
and it's in the victim's own stories. It's an
Hmm.
important piece, because
Okay.
what that then does is it helps prepare individuals that most likely are working for a company to be more knowledgeable about how scammers work,
Hmm.
and be able to take that skill set to whatever the setting that they're in, their work setting that they're in. So
Right.
it helps them to be more aware of what's going on. If they can
Hmm.
identify in their personal life, then they can also identify in their business life, whatever that course may be.
So, it used to be that we worried about our grandparents getting scammed. Is that still the case then?
Well, it is for certain types of scams, but in a
Hmm.
general sense, anybody can be scammed. And we know, because we examine the database from Scam Tracker every year to make sure, what's changing, what's trending, but also what's trending in terms of who's more vulnerable. So the other thing that Scam Tracker gives us is a database set that is so broad that it helps us to use our mandate of prevention to help prevent scams, right? To
Yeah.
do it in that manner. What the Better Business Bureau did, and this is on an international scale,
Hmm.
is they created a number of scams of a particular type, but also
Okay.
whether money is being lost and the degree of money being lost. And so those three things are multiplied out together to see who is
Hmm.
more vulnerable for a certain type of scam. And we
Okay.
take that information and we can do a deeper dive to see if it has an impact on one gender more so than another, or one
Right.
age group more so than another. So getting back to your
Hmm.
question about, you know, is my grandmother or grandfather more at risk than, you know, my 18-year-old son or daughter? Well,
Yeah.
probably truth be known, they're probably both at equal risk.
At equal risk. And, as a parent, I actually worry less about my parents. And so, grandparents, I've lost my grandparents. So it's just my parents at this point. I worry less about them because they've been using the technology long enough now that they're a little bit more prepared for what might be out there. But my kids are in their teens, and my daughter in particular, she doesn't believe that scams are really a thing. We actually had an extensive discussion at home the other night. It was quite funny. And we were talking about all these scams because my son was doing some research. And so my daughter said, "Well, there can't be that many of them." I said, "Well, actually, there's millions and millions of scams and, people stealing money." And her comment was, "Well, they can't be making a living doing that." And I said, "Yeah, they actually are making a living. That's why they continue." And her rationale, this was quite cute. Her rationale for why this didn't ring true for her is because, well, what would their neighbors think? Wouldn't they know that they're doing scams? If they don't leave the house, then they must be scamming. And I said, "We're in the middle of COVID. Nobody leaves their house." Like, that's not a rationale anymore. But in her, 14-year-old mind, that was, she knows what our neighbors do and our neighbors know what we do. And so in her mind, there's that reassurance that says, well, as long as everybody knows what you do, then you can't be scamming people. And of
Mhm.
course, there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
So I would think that, teens and youth in particular right now, they are probably very susceptible to, just starting talking to somebody online, meeting someone, and giving away too much information. When you look at the database, what are you seeing?
So what we see is, I mean, it rings true. What you've just described is exactly what happens. Awareness is the one of the best predictors of being able to identify and avoid a scam. So,
Hmm.
you know, if you're in business, the more that you can do to ensure that your employees have that knowledge base, the better protected your business is going to be. I mean, you can
Hmm.
do all kinds of things on an engineered level, but your last line of defense is going to be your employees. You know, and
Hmm.
so you need to do something there. And in terms of what our database tells us about that risk, it's for me, it's a really interesting correlation. Before I came to the Better Business Bureau, I worked for 10 years with the Workers' Compensation Board.
Hmm.
So as I was on the board, and here's the parallels that I see. The age group that is most at risk for an injury at work is exactly the same age group that is most at risk to be scammed, and that's the under
Oh.
35 age group.
Hmm.
So when you look at it, you know, so why is that? Well, first of all, built us so that we're more risk taking the younger we
Hmm.
are. Uh,
Yes,
we
absolutely.
we also move quicker. So
Hmm.
in the age of technology, it's a little bit different. You can very quickly click on an ad. You can click on a link, and you don't give, you don't think about the consequences of that. So
Hmm.
number one protection, what I tell repeatedly to any interest group that I'm giving an awareness session on scam prevention is, if
Hmm.
you remember nothing else, don't click on ads, don't click on links.
Yeah.
If you
Hmm.
really love that pair of running shoes you see in the ad, open up a new
Hmm.
browser, find that company, find those
Yeah.
runners, and buy them that way. Take the
Hmm.
extra 5 minutes to do that piece of research. Now there's more.
Exactly.
I'm gonna actually encourage them to do even more than that. But at the very least, don't click on that direct link, because
Hmm.
scammers, the age of the internet now, it is a bonus in terms
Yeah.
of being able to do business. No
Hmm.
question about it. Even if I
Yeah.
think of the work of the Better Business Bureau, we've been around for over 100 years. And can you imagine handling 600 on in a paper way? I mean, that would be
Hmm.
very difficult. Or
Exactly.
a quarter of a million inquiries that we do in Saskatchewan. How the heck could we do that with 5 staff? It would be virtually impossible on a paper basis to do that.
Exactly.
But with the internet, it's a blessing. We can do it.
Yes.
Computers, it's a blessing. But the flip side is scammers also have a really good platform to do their work. And yes,
Hmm.
for most of them, this is their full-time job. And what you have to think
Yeah.
about, it's not just, some lone person sitting on the couch in their basement trying to scam somebody or trying to see if they can figure out how to avoid the blocks, that security features that are put in place for a business. They're doing it for fun.
Hmm.
But
Yes.
that's not the scammers that are causing the most grief. The most
Nope.
grief is coming from organized crime that use it for money laundering, or
Hmm.
foreign bodies that use it to, again, either launder money or to find secrets, to disrupt economies. Scamming is one of the biggest detriments to the economy. You know, to,
Yes.
to trust in the marketplace disappears when you've been scammed. You
Hmm.
are ever more fearful. You're
Yes.
you just don't spend the money. You're more careful about what you're doing after that. So the
That's right.
trustworthy marketplace is harmed by scam.
Hmm. And in fact, that's exactly what you do is help build consumer and business trust in the marketplace.
Mhm.
So it makes perfect sense then that you're so, I won't say involved, but you're so committed to, making businesses aware of these scams. So when
Mhm.
you look at your role as the Better Business Bureau and all of the under I like the word underbelly today, I don't know why, but all of this nefarious stuff that's happening, how how does a business protect themselves? Because it's not just small business. We heard a story, I think it was up in Saskatoon. The city of Saskatoon was scammed for a large amount of money. And so
Yes.
it's happening to large red tape organizations as well.
Mhm.
So how do you actually help protect them? How, besides, checking the link, what else can we do?
So if you're a business, there's some really good things. You need to think about analyzing the risks in your organization. So
Mhm.
enterprise risk management is one of the greatest tools. Enterprise risk management isn't just about the financial side of risk, but it's also about cybersecurity risk, um, privacy risk, all those things. So if you can get a handle on those types of things, then you're going to be better prepared. So how do you get a handle? Well, so things like having documentation on your processes. And I'll give you some really good examples. A purchasing policy. If your purchasing
Mhm.
policy is built so that you have uh, independence of control, that you have somebody else that is double checking the work before it goes to a next stage. All these
Mhm.
steps, yes, they make things take a little bit longer, but they will also serve as protection. So
Mhm.
let's take some real examples of that. If somebody in the business gets an email from someone who says, "Hey, I want you to redirect the second installment of this project to this a new bank account. We've made a change in our processes and we need it there." Okay, all right. So, what kind of process do you have as a business to verify that that is really coming from the initiator of that
Mhm.
project, the owner of whoever that project belongs to?
Right.
So you need to double check. And so it's somebody else in your setting would review that process, would verify
Mhm.
that the checks and balances are all in place.
Mhm.
Most of the time, it's getting a second confirmation that they really did send that email because they can mask
Mhm.
emails. right? So
Yes, exactly.
you pick up the phone and you call that company. Say, hey,
Mhm.
I just got an email. You want me to redirect the second installment to this new bank account. Did that really come from you?
Yeah.
Okay, you're verifying it there. You know, many of the transactions involving purchases, and we've seen some, yes, you mentioned with the city of Saskatoon, other
Mhm.
municipalities, government entities, to be frank, are targeted because
Yes.
one of the things that they're required to do is public disclosure of
Mhm.
contracts that are being accepted and the
Yeah.
details of it so that their ratepayers or taxpayers have full disclosure. But scammers
Mhm.
also use that information, so you need to find a way to provide that information for transparency purposes, but have
Mhm.
steps in place to mask it or to confirm if things change, so that you're not subject to a scam of some type. But yeah,
Exactly.
municipalities are nonprofits. Uh, they're all at very high risk. It's not just about small businesses. It's the whole
Mhm.
gamut there. And the
Yes.
thing is that when money is being scammed from a municipality,
Mhm.
it's not just the municipality. It's whoever the company was that they were supposed to be dealing with. That the money is
Yes.
now diverted.
Mhm. Exactly.
So that's a prime example. Another one is redirecting a payroll. So
Mhm.
many of us now do our payroll electronically. It's so easy. Why would you have to
Yes.
write out checks and look at the tables and manually do some calculations? Well,
Mhm.
but again, if one of your employees sends something to HR or whoever's doing the payroll, your bookkeeper, if you're small, and says, I've got a change in my bank account. I want you to send it here. Again, don't accept that as
Yeah.
proof positive.
Mhm.
In our world, it's trust but verify. So because you've got it from one
Right.
source, you verify from another source. Again,
Mhm.
picking up the phone. Uh, if they're right in your office, walking down the hallway and talking to them. Hey, I just got this email. I just want to
Exactly.
confirm it's really from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So, one of the things that I've always wondered about some of these, especially the financial scams, the larger scams, as you said, this isn't one person sitting in their basement dreaming up all sorts of crazy ideas as to what they can do. Typically, it's a group of people, and there's call center staff, and there's, a supervisor of some sort. Does the entire level of the scam know that it's a scam? Or is it maybe just the top couple of folks who know and the people on the front line think it's legitimate? I've always wondered that when I get some of these phone calls. Have you heard anything? Do you have any sense for how known it is?
yes, and it's not like I've done the research myself because I'm not on a team that does that kind of research, but we rely on our network of Better Business Bureau offices. And in
Mhm,
particular, we have an international association that we're all part of, all the BBB offices in the world.
mhm.
That research arm has done the research, the deep dives to see where it's coming from. So you're right. A call center in India or Nigeria or Russia, uh, China, wherever it happens to be.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, the company is known to be a bad actor there, but they don't necessarily have proof from a government inspector's as perspective to
Mhm.
shut them down. So, and I can tell you, I was really impressed with this. I think it was the second year that I was part of the Better Business Bureau world
Mhm.
that um, we got word that a call center in India that had specialized in tax scams. They had a Canadian division for CRA scams, and they had a U.S. division for tax
Wow.
scams in the U.S. I mean, that's big business.
It
But
is.
but the Indian government could never they could never find a way to legitimately close them down. Well,
Okay.
information from Scam Tracker was provided in conjunction. So in Canada, we work with the Canadian Anti Fraud Center, the RCMP, and in the
Mhm.
states, they were working with the FBI side. Well,
Okay.
joint effort. that database information of filed scams from victims gave them the proof that they needed to go
Hmm.
in and shut it down. So, when I remember it was in
Wow.
August of 2016. They
Hmm.
went in, did a midnight raid, arrested over 400 people that night. That's the extent of their
Wow.
call center.
Hmm.
So that was only one shift. Now, the owners of the company fled the country,
Okay.
but the
Hmm.
next year they caught them when they came back to visit family. Uh,
Oh.
so in
Yeah.
Canada, the extent that it made a difference is tax scams in Canada that year. The day
Hmm.
before the attack, we were averaging about 200 scam reports a week. Now, that dropped down to less than a dozen after that call center was shut down. Now, it's built back up,
Wow.
but not to the
Okay.
same extent. And
Hmm.
because you know, people acquire new skill sets. Scammers
Yes.
buy new equipment to,
Hmm.
they make a lot of money off of their scams and they can
They
afford
do.
the good stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, isn't that the truth? They can actually afford the good stuff sometimes before the rest of us. Yep,
Yeah,
I hear you.
for sure.
So, the scams, have they changed during COVID?
Well, they have the type of scams have changed somewhat. So, and I
Mhm.
would say that in Canada, for example, the number one scam across Canada was advanced fee loans. Uh,
Okay.
so if you think about why people are looking for loans, well,
Mhm.
they're sitting at home and probably have extended their credit
Yeah.
farther than they would like. So they're looking at a way to consolidate some of that. They're looking for a
Mhm.
really good deal on a loan.
Yeah.
So they're just blindly searching the internet and not
Mhm.
doing the research to verify that, first of all, if the company itself is legitimate and what kind of a rating they have.
Mhm.
Now remember that in addition to the scam tracker database, we also hold a database of legitimate businesses. It's
Yes.
free business profiles, but once they're in our system, we're going to start rating them everywhere from
Mhm.
A plus to an F. What we
Yep.
want potential buyers to do, and I don't care if it's a consumer buy or if it's a business to business buy.
Mhm.
If you're a business, do you know the rating of the businesses that you're dealing with? Find
Yeah.
out. Right?
Mhm.
Anyway, so I digress. The business profile and the rating. So you check that out. You make sure that who you're dealing with is legitimate. The
Mhm.
information that we have in that business profile will have their website and their LinkedIn profile or their Facebook or whatever it is that they have displayed. If
Exactly.
if what you see on the other side is not the same, then
Mhm.
I mean, that's a really good indication that somebody is doing some kind of a phishing attack on you. So
Exactly.
we're talking about a loan, and it's a company who has set up, or it's a scammer who has set up a pretend website, redirecting the information to them. What they
Mhm.
want you to do is reach out, excuse me, through their portal that they created. Uh,
Mhm.
they may even initiate a phone conversation with you. Oh, you want to consolidate your credit cards, or you want to, whatever it is, whatever it happens to be. Well, there's
Mhm.
a fee charged with that. Well,
Of
you
course.
need to know right off the top that consumer loans it's illegal to charge an advance fee for a consumer loan. It's illegal in
Mhm.
Canada and it's illegal in the States. So, number one, if they're asking for a fee, hang up, delete the email, uh, go on another site to get rid of it. It's going to be a scam.
Yeah.
And, and the group that is more likely, is most vulnerable for this, is males under 50.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
So in Canada, that's the profile that we have of the ones who are more likely uh, to fall for this type of scam. That
Mhm.
it really, this one in particular really hurts the marketplace. So if we look at the top scams in Canada, the average scam loss is $200. With the advance fee loan, it's
Mhm.
$2,000. So we're talking about a substantial amount of money. Number two scam is online
Mhm.
purchasing. Well, on this one, it's women
Okay.
who are more at risk. So,
Ah,
and the average scam there is about $700 loss. So you know, we're doing online shopping instead of going to the water cooler and refreshing
exactly.
water or pouring a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You're going into another browser and looking at some ads for new shoes or hat or whatever.
That's right.
It's
We're
really
all being discouraged from sort of socializing right now. Exactly. Karen, we're almost out of time. We've only got about a minute left in our show today. Can you quickly tell folks how they would find you online on the social channels and on your website?
sure, I sure can. So we have links on our website, and our website is easy. It's bbb.org. So bbb.org. From there,
Mhm.
you can find all the scam reports, the deep dive ones. You can find all the business profiles. You can have a look at whatever vendor you're using, see what rating they have. If you
Mhm.
don't find a business in there, you can ask for one to be created. There'll be a pop up. Ask for it,
Mhm.
and our phone number. We still do business by phone. We have a toll free number to cover anywhere in Saskatchewan, or a local number.
Okay.
Website's open 24/7.
Excellent. That sounds fantastic. So, if you are interested in more information, either on the scams that are out there or in protecting yourself in the work of the Better Business Bureau, just reach out to bbb.org. And I know Karen and her team would be more than happy to chat with you. Thank you, Karen, for joining me today and talking about such an important issue for all businesses. Understanding the type of scams that are out there, understanding the prevalence of those scams is so important nowadays. So we all have to protect ourselves. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at barb@googlegirl.ca or reach out on Facebook and Instagram at Above the Fold CA. And just a reminder, you can even submit questions in advance of our show just on our Facebook page. I'm your host, Barb McGrath, local business owner and Google Girl. Remember, you worked hard for your success. Don't keep it a secret. Bye for now.